This podcast is brought to you by the Startup Core Podcast.
Welcome back to the AI Analysis Podcast. Who's ready for a new musical?
I definitely am.
So for this particular exploration, we've had the chance to really immerse ourselves in this fascinating conversation we watched, all about a brand new off-Broadway musical that's starting to make some waves. It's called Beyond Perfection.
It digs into that whole paradox, doesn't it? Our screen-obsessed lives. What's the real price of chasing perfection when AI can supposedly just hand it to you? It's like holding up a mirror, really.
Totally. And believe me, you're going to hear some surprising things, some really engaging stuff. This isn't just, another musical. Beyond Perfection feels like it's trying to rip open that curated reality we all kind of live in online, asking that big question. What's the cost when AI promises perfection? It's got this mix of humor and heart and a message that feels incredibly relevant right now. I think you'll find it pretty captivating.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into this. Beyond Perfection. When we start unpacking it, what is it exactly?
Yeah.
Genre-wise, what are we looking at? What's its identity?
Well, what's really interesting is how it mixes things up. Genre-wise, it's described as a sci-fi dystopian musical.
Okay, dystopian. Got it.
But, and this is important, the creators were really clear. It's not just bleak and heavy. They actually called it zany and campy.
Zany and campy.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they stressed it also has a lot of heart. So it's not just fluff. For anyone trying to get a feel for it, they gave this great comparison. Think Be More Chill meets Urinetown.
Oh, wow. Okay, that paints a picture.
Yeah.
Be More Chill meets Urinetown. Quirky, probably smart commentary, maybe a bit dark, but funny.
Exactly. That combo immediately tells you it's going to be irreverent, probably tackle some big ideas, but with a definite comedic edge. It's not your standard straightforward sci-fi thing. It seems to enjoy mashing up unexpected styles.
That sounds like a really appealing mix for today's audiences, actually. That blend of sharp observation and, well, fun. So where does all this zany, campy, dystopian stuff actually happen? What's the world they've built?
Right, the setting. It's a dystopian New York City. And the city itself, it almost feels like its own character, which I'm sure we'll get into more.
Okay.
But this New York is basically run by a mega-corp. Very classic dystopian trope, right? And it's called Perfection LLC. Very on the nose, but it works.
Perfection LLC. Love it.
And what they offer isn't just like products. They offer the ultimate escape, a VR experience.
Ah, okay. Virtual reality.
Powered by advanced AI, and it promises everyone their own perfect world. Think about that. A completely customized reality, AI-driven, where everything, relationships, job, where you live, is exactly how you want it.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And terrifying.
Exactly. It's the ultimate dream, right? Life optimization taken to the extreme. But of course, this being a dystopia, you know that perfect promise has a dark side, a catch.
Which is where our hero usually comes in, isn't it? Because that perfect world can't stay perfect forever.
Yeah.
Someone's bound to notice the glitches. So what's the main conflict? Who's Ryan, and how does he start questioning this perfect AI-generated life?
Precisely. So Ryan, our hero, he's living this seemingly AI-matched perfect life. He's even got the perfect marriage, supposedly, to a character named Kate.
Okay.
But like you said, despite everything looking flawless on the surface, he starts noticing these little things. Cracks in the system, as they put it.
Stitches in the matrix.
Kind of, yeah. Small inconsistencies, things that just don't quite add up in his perfect narrative. And this growing unease leads him to accidentally stumble upon Central Park.
Central Park. Okay, what's special about the park in this world?
Well, it's not just, trees and grass. It's where a rebellion is hiding out. They're called the Noriums.
The Noriums. Like no AIums.
Yeah.
Or no illusions.
Could be. It's a clever name, right? Signals they're against Perfection LLC's whole digital control thing. And the really cool part is why they're headquartered in the park. Apparently, nature itself actually interferes with the tech Perfection LLC uses.
Wow, really? Nature fights back.
Yeah. So the park, the natural world, becomes this sort of sanctuary, the last pocket of authenticity against the hyper-real AI world. The story then follows Ryan as he gets pulled into this rebellion, and the creators promised both hijinks and classic dystopian tragedy.
So laughs and tears. Fun and heartfelt.
That's the idea. It sounds like a really compelling mix, tackling big questions about what's real and meaningful, but doing it with humor and action, too.
That setup immediately brings some other popular stuff to mind, helps you kind of place it. If you like that sci-fi dystopian vibe, that feeling of uncovering a hidden truth, maybe like Stranger Things, that kind of underlying dread.
Yeah, definitely echoes of that. fighting some big unseen force.
And the whole curated artificial reality thing, it makes me think so much of Severance. That split identity, the two worlds.
Oh, absolutely. Severance is a great comparison for that aspect.
But here's where it gets really interesting. They also mentioned a connection, surprisingly, to the philosophical comedy of The Good Place.
The Good Place. Really? How so?
Well, you know how The Good Place is all about what it means to be good, to be human, finding meaning in these bizarre systems. Apparently, there's some of that philosophical humor woven in. And get this, they mentioned a friend of theirs is actually working on a Good Place musical.
No way. That sounds perfect.
Right. It just shows this show, Beyond Perfection, seems to be aiming for that blend of high concept, sci-fi, smart comedy, and genuine thoughtfulness. So with a concept like that, zany, heartfelt, sci-fi, dystopian New York, AI, rebellion, you just have to wonder, how did this even start? What's the origin story here? How did Kennedy and Kay come together on this?
It really starts with Kennedy's long-term fascination with dystopian novels. She apparently grew up reading tons of them.
Ah, fellow fan.
Yeah, and she wasn't just reading for the plots. She was always digging into how a utopia flips into a dystopia. What are the underlying messages? What's the commentary?
Right, the deeper stuff.
Exactly. She was fascinated by those worlds and what they say about us. The specific spark for this musical, though, came when she was literally sitting in Central Park.
In the park itself.
Yeah, one of her favorite spots. And she's looking around, seeing the high-tech, man-made city all around, and then there's the park, natural, organic. That contrast, that juxtaposition, she said, just hit her.
The tech world versus the natural world.
Right line in the middle of Manhattan. That became the core conflict for the show. The hyper-real tech clashing with the organic natural world. That idea just started growing from there.
And it seems like that powerful idea found its collaborator almost by chance or maybe fate. How did Kennedy and Kay actually connect and start building this together?
It's a great theater story, actually. Kay was initially an actor in a very early version of the musical, way back in 2019.
Oh, so she performed in it first.
Yeah, she played the main character at the time, Chandler. So their first connection was literally through working on the material together, testing it out.
Wow.
And then what's kind of wild and almost unsettlingly relevant is how real life started imitating the art when 2020 happened.
Oh, how so?
Kennedy shared this amazing detail. The opening lyric in that 2019 version was literally the word 2020.
Get it. Seriously?
Seriously, it was meant to be about like 2020 vision, VR clarity, that kind of clever pun.
Okay, yeah.
But then, well, 2020 became 2020, a year with a completely different heavy meaning for everyone.
Yeah, understatement.
So they realized pretty quickly that lyric absolutely had to change, couldn't trigger audiences like that.
Yeah.
But that whole real-world upheaval actually spurred a massive rewrite. It made them rethink everything, grounding the dystopian themes in something much more immediate and resonant.
So 2020 wasn't just a date they had to change. It was like a catalyst for deepening the show. Once they had that realization, how did they tackle the rewrite? What was their process like, working together?
Yeah.
Sounds intense.
Oh, totally intense and super collaborative. Kennedy reached out to Kay, and they just, as she said, hit the ground running.
Right.
They've apparently rewritten the entire show multiple times since then. Maybe 5 times, maybe more, just constantly refining it.
Wow.
Initially, Kay kind of acted like an editor. She described it as sorting through the existing stuff, deciding what stayed, what moved, combining things to make it tighter.
Okay, shaping the existing material.
Exactly. But then, as they started creating brand new stuff, their different strengths really came into play. Kennedy would take Kay's ideas, what Kay called her unrhyming jumble, like raw concepts for songs or scenes.
Why the rough ideas?
Yeah, maybe strong on character, but no melody yet.
Yeah.
Kennedy would take that and make it pretty, crafting the rhymes, the melodies. Meanwhile, Kay focused on things like grammar, punching up the jokes, getting the comedic timing just right.
So one shapes the music and lyrics, the other sharpens the book and humor.
Kind of, yeah, though it sounds like it blended a lot. They even did these writing retreats, basically sleepovers, where they'd work like crazy, huddled around the piano with their composer, Emily.
That sounds fun, actually. Intense, but fun.
And Kay even wrote a straight play version. No songs, just to hammer out the plot, make sure the story worked on its own.
Smart. Does the story hold up without the music?
Apparently it did. And surprisingly, a lot of the original songs still fit perfectly into that tighter narrative structure, which showed them their core ideas were strong.
What a great partnership story. It really shows how musicals are such a team sport, isn't it? different skills amplifying each other.
Absolutely.
And I love how they describe their thinking styles. Kennedy being more linear, kind of A to B to C with structure.
Right.
And Kay being more abstract, thinking bigger picture about themes and characters. But instead of clashing, they sharpen each other.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It's not about one person being right, but about merging their voices, pushing each other. They even called their collaboration a little marriage.
Ah, that's sweet. And probably accurate.
It speaks volumes about the trust and commitment involved. You can almost feel that synergy when you hear about the layered work they've produced. It's like a mini masterclass in creative teamwork. #3, New York as a character and the influence of AI in art.
Oh.
Okay, let's circle back to the setting. You mentioned New York City feeling like its own character in this tech-heavy dystopia. Why NYC specifically? How does using that city deepen the show's themes about control, perfection, maybe even commerce?
It's such a perfect choice, really. New York, especially when you think about Broadway, just embodies so many of the show's themes. It's where art and business collide in this really intense way.
Right, the Great White Way is also a big business way.
Exactly. And Kay talked about how overstimulating the city is Times Square. The ads, the noise, the constant fight for your attention, that whole attention economy vibe.
Yeah, sensory overload.
Broadway itself is this incredible artistic spectacle, right? Huge creative effort. But it's also a massive commercial enterprise. So that blend, art and commerce, spectacle and capitalism, is baked right into the show's setting. It uses the city to reflect how technology and commercialism are just woven into everything now. So while they say it's not like overtly political about specific policies, it speaks volumes about what it feels like to just be a person online today. Constantly managing your image, dealing with that demand for attention, the way everything gets commercialized.
So the city itself becomes a metaphor for our digital lives.
Pretty much, yeah. The chaos of the city mirrors the chaos in the characters' lives, both internal and external. It's really clever.
Very clever. And speaking of Broadway and tech, you mentioned a specific song number that sounds amazing. Breaking Up with Broadway.
Yeah.
What's the story there, and how does AI play into it?
Oh, this song sounds fantastic. It apparently started out as a really personal song for Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, back when she was an actress, feeling frustrated, struggling to get cast, especially with fewer roles for women, she literally thought, that's it, I'm breaking up with Broadway.
I think many actors have felt that.
Right. But then in the show, it evolved. It became this huge moment where Chandler, a main character, is literally breaking up with Perfection LLC.
The corporation.
Yeah, because in their world, Perfection LLC produces Broadway. They control the whole entertainment machine.
Whoa, okay.
But here's the really wild part, the truly innovative twist. The song itself is AI generated within the story.
Wait, the AI character writes the song?
Yes. Aiden, the AI, creates this breaking up with Broadway number, and it's apparently crammed with references to tons of other famous Broadway musicals.
Like Easter eggs for theater nerds.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the choreography by Victoria Casillo and Drew Nichols even includes this big dance break where Aiden literally says, generate dance break.
Away.
And the dance itself throws in callbacks to iconic moves. They mentioned hints of chorus line, bits of Step in Time from Mary Poppins. It's this amazing meta-commentary, a love letter to Broadway's past, a critique of its commercial control, all seen through the lens of AI creativity.
Wow, that is incredibly layered. An AI critiquing Broadway by using Broadway's own history. That's brilliant. And it makes you think about how ahead of the curve they were with the whole AI theme, right? This wasn't just added recently because AI is suddenly everywhere.
Not at all, and that's what's really striking. They had a prominent AI character in the show back in 2022.
2022, so way before the ChatGPT explosion really hit the mainstream.
Exactly. They were genuinely ahead of their time in making AI a core part of the narrative, not just a gimmick. And now they've really leaned into the timely nature of what AI is doing to art. It's become this huge, resonant feature of their sci-fi world. It's not the only futuristic element, apparently, but it's a big one that taps right into all the current anxieties and excitement around AI in creative fields. AI shaping reality. It grounds the whole thing. #tag4, sponsor break.
Okay, let's just pause for a moment here to give a huge thank you to the partners who helped make these explorations possible.
As far back as I can remember, I have wanted to be an entrepreneur. Now, I am here to guide you through the intricate paths of building your business, embracing emerging technologies and navigating the startup world. I am Saul Tarazona, and this is Startup Corps, your go-to podcast for entrepreneurial insights and tech-driven success.
It's sponsors like these who really champion independent artistic work, much like Beyond Perfection itself.
That's so true. Their support helps creators get their visions out there, helps important stories find an audience, and just generally fosters creativity, which is so vital. So thank you to them.
All right, so we know getting any show, especially an original musical, off the ground is a marathon, not a sprint. Let's talk about that journey for Beyond Perfection. How did it get from those early Texas workshops all the way to off-Broadway? What was that evolution like for Kennedy and Kay?
Kennedy actually described it as a personal coming-of-age story for them as writers, mirroring the show's own growth.
The coming-of-age story. Interesting.
Yeah. When she first started, she genuinely felt writing a musical was, like, unattainable, too big. She thought she needed help, felt she was just a songwriter, not necessarily a composer or book writer capable of the whole thing.
That imposter syndrome creeping in.
Totally. But through the process, the long, hard work, she realized, wait, I can actually do this on my own.
That's a huge breakthrough.
Huge. But interestingly, even with that realization, she still chose collaboration. She preferred to welcome other voices because she knew ultimately bringing in different perspectives would make the show ultimately better.
So it wasn't about needing help anymore, but wanting the best version of the show.
Exactly. And the biggest lesson she learned, she said, was putting the story first. Prioritizing the narrative above everything else, even if it meant cutting a song she loved or a scene they were attached to.
Oh, killing your darlings, the hardest part.
The hardest part. But she felt the story was important to tell, felt called to do it, and that conviction helped them make those tough calls to serve the overall vision.
That really speaks to their dedication. And it sounds like workshops and key collaborators were crucial in shaping it. Who were some of the people or moments that really helped mold the show?
Definitely. Several key moments stand out. There was Rachel Klein, a director from New York who came down to Texas for an early workshop. Kennedy said Rachel elevated their work infinitely much.
Wow. What did she bring?
An outside perspective, really helping clarify the world, the characters' motivations, the structure, just giving it a stronger foundation.
Okay.
Then musicalwriters.com, which started in Texas, did a stage reading that was like a bridge to this new world, helping them hear it out loud, moving it from page to stage, even in a reading format.
Right. Hearing it is so different.
And most recently, the Broadway-bound theater festival was huge. It's run by Lenore, who's a playwright and dramaturge. She spent a whole month working intensely with them on the show. Apparently, she was just as invested as they were in making it the best it could be.
A whole month with a dramaturge. That sounds like a deep dive.
Mm.
For listeners who might not know, what does a dramaturge do? And how did Lenore help them find the show's core?
Her role sounds like it was absolutely pivotal. They
Yeah.
describe her approach as half script doctoring and then half writer counseling.
Writer counseling. Interesting.
But yeah, she wasn't just looking at the script, she was looking at the intent, the heart behind it. She used this great metaphor, refurbishing furniture,
Okay.
stripping away layers of old paint, the overwriting, the extra stuff that had accumulated over time, maybe ideas that didn't quite serve the main story anymore.
Got it. The clutter.
Right. Stripping that away to find the real wood underneath the core, the authentic heart of the story. And this was crucial because they admitted the show had kind of lost the heart and gotten overwritten over the years.
That can happen so easily.
Absolutely. So Lenore helped them reconnect with that core narrative. Simplify, clarify the message. Get back to basics and make sure the emotional center was strong and clear. It sounds like it was challenging, but brought them back to the essence of what they wanted to say.
So yeah, definitely sounds like they had to break some eggs, as the saying goes, maybe even throw a couple, as Kennedy put it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it sounds like it got intense.
But Co's willingness to just go there, try crazy ideas, even wacky versions, sounds invaluable. That artistic bravery.
For sure.
It really seems like that whole tough, iterative journey didn't just make the musical better, but it really strengthened them as writers and as a team, forged them in the fire, so to speak. Now, with any long creative process like this, there are always surprises, right? Things you didn't expect. What surprised Kennedy and Kay the most during development? Were the moments that really shifted things?
Well, Kennedy had this charmingly honest admission about her initial naivete regarding the timeline.
Oh, yeah. What did she think?
When she first started, she genuinely thought, oh, this will be on Broadway tomorrow. She was aiming to finish it in 5 years.
5 years. For an original musical. Ambitious.
Right. She even compared it to Hamilton, knowing it took Lin-Manuel Miranda 10 years, but thinking, I'll be faster.
Haha. Famous last words.
Totally. But looking back, she said she's actually glad she didn't know it would take so much longer, 8 years or more. She joked she might not have even started if she'd known.
Ignorance is bliss sometimes, I guess.
Maybe, but her main goal was always just to make the best show possible, however long it took. That commitment to quality over speed really shines through.
Yeah, that dedication is clear. But Kay mentioned something else surprising. She was actually surprised Kennedy chose dystopian musical as her first big project.
Yeah,
She called the genre notoriously extremely difficult to write.
that's fascinating. Why is it so tough? Are there just not many successful ones out there?
Well, that's part of it. Kay pointed out that a lot of the existing dystopian musicals are kind of niche. Urinetown found its audience be more chill, had that huge grassroots swell eventually.
Right, but not immediate blockbusters.
Exactly. And she even mentioned this deep-cut Starmites, a sci-fi space fantasy that apparently won Tonys, but most people haven't heard of, often done in high schools now.
Starmites. Never heard of it.
Me neither. But it illustrates a point. The genre itself can be a harder sell, and the specific challenges they faced. Creating an original story when the real world is just ballooning and changing and getting more dystopian by the day.
Yeah, how do you keep up?
Right. How do you make it feel timeless when technology is evolving so fast? How do you write about AI in a way that won't feel dated in 2 years, let alone 10?
Yeah.
That's a massive challenge.
Huge. Keeping it relevant but not instantly obsolete.
Wow. Okay, so given all those difficulties, it sounds like maybe they hit a wall at some point. Did they ever almost stop?
They did. There was definitely a point where they seriously considered tabling the project.
Really? Yeah, the difficulty of the genre, the endless rewrites, sounds like burnout was setting in. So instead of just forcing it, they actually paused beyond perfection.
Smart move, maybe. What did they do instead?
They worked on some other shorter musicals just to kind of cleanse the palate, explore different things. And one of those was called The Birth Arc.
A 10-minute sci-fi horror musical.
Sci-fi horror.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, adapted from a Nathaniel Hawthorne short story. It was actually really successful, got into an off-Broadway festival. And working on that short piece turned out to be unexpectedly crucial for getting back to beyond perfection.
How so? How did this little sci-fi horror detour help the big dystopian musical?
Because The Birth Arc apparently nailed the exact tone they wanted for the bigger show. Kennedy described it as earnestly funny and disturbing.
Earnestly funny and disturbing.
I like that.
Right. It balanced that campy humor with genuine heart and entertainment, but also had this undercurrent of being potentially slightly disturbing or horrifying if you thought about it too much.
Ah, that subtle darkness beneath the surface.
Exactly. And working on The Birth Arc made them realize, yes, we can hit that tone.
Huh.
And they could bring that back to beyond perfection. They feel like now is actually the right place and time for the show.
The timing feels right now.
Yeah, they pointed to things like Stranger Things being huge, even having a play on Broadway now, and other sort of campy, genre-bending stuff, finding big audiences. The culture has kind of caught up to their vibe.
That makes sense.
And here's the kicker for relatability. Smartphones. Kay made this great point. 5 billion people in the world have smartphones. Basically, anyone who's ever used one can connect with the show's themes about tech, reality, identity. It makes this potentially niche genre feel suddenly universal.
That universality is key. But speaking of unique perspectives shaping the work, Kaylee, your background is pretty fascinating. It's not the typical writer's path, is it? Going from theater studies to medical clowning. How does that experience, especially the clowning, influence how you tell stories? How you write comedy in Beyond Perfection?
Yeah, Ka's journey is really something else, and it clearly feeds her work. She started out going for a musical theater, BFA, performance tracks, singing, dancing, acting.
The traditional path.
Right. But while she was in college, she started exploring other things. Took a clown class, just because, then mask work, tech theater, playwriting.
Trying a bit of everything.
Exactly. And she had this realization. She actually loved teaching, directing, and really analyzing plays, digging into the writing more than she loved the performer track. She said she didn't want to climb the dance ladder of musical theater.
Okay, so she pivoted.
Yeah, started looking for other ways to be involved, which led her to directing children's theater, and eventually to medical clowning.
Medical clowning. It sounds so specific. Can you tell us more about that? It's not just putting on a red nose in a hospital, right? It sounds like it blends performance with something deeper, almost therapeutic.
Oh, absolutely. She calls it her favorite performance gig. You can just hear the joy when she talks about it. She performs regularly, like 2 or 3 times a week, going right into patients' hospital rooms.
Into the rooms themselves. Wow.
Yeah, doing tailored improvisational performances. She described it as bringing the circus to the hospital room, trying to bring joy, color, play into what can be a really difficult, sterile environment.
That's amazing.
And it's very much rooted in therapeutic practice. It's about empowering the patient through laughter, connection, giving them a moment of control and joy. And that experience hugely informs her comedy writing.
How so? How does clowning translate to writing?
Well, she talked about how hospitals are often places linked to negative experiences, loss, fear, emergencies. For her, going into those spaces as a clown and being able to redeem those experiences, to bring laughter where there might be pain, is incredibly powerful. It helps her find the humor even in dark situations.
Finding light in the darkness, literally.
Exactly. And she's a huge believer in the power of clowns, the positive kind, she emphasizes, not the Pennywise clowns.
Yeah, right. Good to see.
She literally said Pennywise is an alien, not a real clown, and very bad for business. But the real clowns, the ones who connect and uplift, she thinks they can bring world peace. She compared it to the spirit of Robin Williams and Patch Adams.
That blend of empathy and humor, I can see that. So how does that clown spirit, that understanding of vulnerability and finding humor in unexpected places show up in Beyond Perfection?
She's always looking for it in the show, embedding that mix of humor and hidden wisdom. For instance, the leaders of the rebellion, Jerry and Darla.
Yeah, the Noyam's leaders.
They're directly inspired by Shakespearean fools or jesters.
Like Touchstone or Festade.
Exactly. Those characters who seem goofy, maybe get pushed around, but are always the smartest ones in the room, right?
Totally. They see everything.
They have that unseen wisdom, that ability to speak truth to power because nobody takes them seriously. She loves that archetype, the hidden wise person challenging things through humor. And even her own clown personas, she has Dr. Hashtag and Dr. Howdy.
Dr. Hashtag, that's brilliant.
Isn't it? She finds humor in a clown trying to navigate the internet, like Dr. Hashtag thinking Googling something makes her an instant expert. It's a funny, sharp commentary on us. So that background brings this really rich layer of comedy, wisdom, and understanding of human absurdity to the show. Themes of transformation and identity.
It definitely sounds like Beyond Perfection is digging deep into the human condition, especially with technology amplifying everything. How do those big themes of transformation and identity really come through? Which characters best illustrate those ideas for the audience?
Yeah, those themes are absolutely central. The show seems to really probe how we define ourselves, especially when we tie our identity to superficial things, online fame, perfect relationships, status, whatever.
Right, things that can disappear.
Exactly. And what happens to your sense of self when those things do disappear or turn out to be fake? It's asking where our identity really lives. A key example they gave is the character Kate.
Ryan's wife, right? The one in the perfect AI marriage.
That's her. Apparently, Kate bases her entire identity on this curated image. Being famous online, being deeply in love, having this perfect domestic family life. She's described as a trad wife influencer, but it's all happening in VR.
A virtual trad wife influencer. Wow, okay, that's layers.
Right. Her whole self-worth is built on this digital performance of perfection.
So what happens when reality intrudes? When she encounters the real world, like in Central Park?
Well, that's where the tragedy lies. When she experiences the real world, the raw, messy, imperfect real world, she's forced to confront the fact that her whole identity is basically a fraud.
That must be devastating.
Totally. But instead of adapting, she desperately tries to cling to the delusion, the fake perfection. Because, as they put it, she has no feet to stand on in the real world. She hasn't done the work to build an identity outside the simulation.
Oof. That hits hard.
Yeah. It powerfully illustrates the danger of building your sense of self on something requiring no work or any real effort, no real experience or self-reflection. It really pushes the audience to think, what are we building our identities on? Are they solid? Or are they just digital facades? How do we find authenticity in a world pushing virtual perfection? It's incredibly relevant.
It really is. Now, shifting gears slightly, Kennedy, you mentioned she wears all these hats. Composer, lyricist, and producer. That's a huge workload, creatively and logistically.
Yeah.
How does she balance that? How do you keep the artistic vision pure when you also have to think about the practicalities, the budget, the business side?
Yeah, it's a lot. And Kennedy had some really interesting thoughts on that producer identity. She feels strongly that nowadays many artists have to be producing artists, and it's not something to be looked down on.
Right. It's not selling out. It's making it happen.
Exactly. For her, it shows you deeply believe in your own work. You started it, you nurture it, you keep it going. She made the point. Writers create the art, but without producers, the art often doesn't get seen.
True. Both are essential, especially in indie theater.
For sure. So for many artists today, those rules merge. It's about dedication and, frankly, being entrepreneurial about your own art.
Okay, so embracing the producer role is key, but how does she manage that internal conflict? The free-flowing art brain versus the practical producer brain. That must be a constant negotiation.
Oh, definitely. She said she actively tries to compartmentalize, tries hard to keep the producer brain out of the writing room initially.
So it doesn't limit the ideas.
Right. To avoid thinking, oh, we can only afford 2 supporting actors, when the story really needs 5, for example. Don't let budget stifle creativity too early. But, she admitted, sometimes the producer brain sneaks in when practicalities are just unavoidable.
It's a balancing act.
A constant one. And it extends to her personal life, too, reminding herself it's okay to write just for fun sometimes, or enjoy art without analyzing it professionally. But once the writing is solid, the vision is set. She said she solely flips hard into producer mode.
Okay, full switch.
Yeah. Then it's all about selling the show, fundraising, building the team, making it happen. And her advice to other writers is embrace that role. Get over the imposter syndrome. You're probably the one who has to make it happen, so don't wait for permission. Go do it.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the music itself. From the descriptions, it sounds like Beyond Perfection has a really interesting layered musical style. Ensemble numbers, maybe some unique vocal stuff. What were the inspirations? How did the sound come together?
The musical journey is pretty cool. Some songs are actually originals from that first 2019 version.
Oh, so some survived all the rewrites.
Yeah, the strongest ones, presumably. But a really interesting part of the early development involved Kennedy's college composition teacher.
Oh, yeah. How did they contribute?
Well, the teacher had this brilliant idea. Let students write songs for the musical as class assignment.
No way. Seriously.
Yeah. So the show's early musical DNA came from multiple young composers exploring different ideas, scales, harmonies. It created this really rich, diverse foundation right from the start.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Talk about organic collaboration. Can you give examples? Did any specific songs or musical ideas come out of that?
Definitely. She mentioned one song, Shirley, came from an assignment where Kennedy had to write in the Lydian mode.
Lydian mode. Okay, music theory time. That gives it a specific sound, right?
Yeah.
Kind of dreamy or bright.
Exactly. Not your standard major-minor. It gives the song a unique, maybe slightly ethereal or whimsical flavor right off the bat. Sets a different mood.
Cool. Any others?
Another song, Puzzle Piece, apparently uses this clever musical trick where a beat gets dropped occasionally.
Like a rhythmic hiccup.
Yeah, creating a missing puzzle piece feeling in the rhythm. It subtly reflects the show's themes that something's not quite right, something's missing in this perfect world. It's using music to tell the story.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
So beyond those early experiments, what else shaped the sound? Kennedy's background. Composer.
All of the above. Kennedy has a strong vocal background. She loves choral music, apparently even sang in the Sistine Chapel with her choir.
Whoa, okay. That's serious choral cred.
Right. So that love for voices blending definitely inspired the big ensemble numbers, the rich harmonies. She even had an a cappella song early on, Strangers, though it's not in the current version. But that focus on vocal texture is there.
Okay. And the composer, Emily Horton.
Huge influence. Emily's background is piano performance and composition, but her dream is film scoring.
Ah, film scoring. So
Okay.
underscoring. Atmosphere.
Exactly. That means there's a lot of underscoring music playing under scenes, driving emotion, building tension, creating atmosphere, even without lyrics. More like a movie soundtrack sometimes.
Got it.
So the final sound is this real blend. Kennedy's musical theater, heart and vocal focus, Emily's cinematic atmospheric approach, and then Kay's comedic timing influencing the rhythm and feel of certain numbers. It sounds like it started with exploration and grew into something really unique and layered.
It really does. And, artists often weave their own lives into their work. Kennedy, you mentioned she's worked on a worship EP, In the Dark, about her experiences with anxiety. How does that personal journey, that vulnerability, connect with the themes or characters in Beyond Perfection? Does the art become a way to process?
She confirmed that connection is absolutely there, and it's deep. That EP In the Dark is very personal, directly about her struggles with anxiety and how her faith helps her navigate it.
Okay.
Some songs apparently describe the day-to-day feeling of anxiety, while others focus on finding peace through her faith. And she really believes artists you can't help but put yourself into your work.
It just comes out naturally.
Yeah, your worldview, your identity, your struggles, your hopes, they seep into the art, whether you consciously plan it or not. The creation reflects the creator.
That makes sense. So how has that shown up specifically in Beyond Perfection over the years? Have characters changed as maybe her own perspective evolved?
It's really interesting how it shifted. Initially, the main character, Chandler, was the one who really embodied Kennedy's anxiety, like a direct reflection.
Okay.
But now, in the current version, that anxiety has kind of migrated over to Ryan, the hero.
Oh, interesting. Why the shift?
Maybe just story evolution, gaining new perspectives. And Chandler has now evolved into a character who blends aspects of both Kennedy and Kay, a composite.
Right.
But here's what Kennedy found really fascinating and quite poignant. Recently, she finds herself relating most strongly to Kate.
To Kate, the virtual trad wife whose identity shatters.
Yes, because Kate's idealized vision of being a wife and mother falls apart. And this resonated deeply with Kennedy due to her own personal experiences with infertility and IVF.
Oh, wow. That's incredibly personal.
Yeah. She said that journey stripped away her own preconceived ideas about motherhood. So now, she sees herself more in Kate's struggle with shattered ideals than in Chandler's original anxiety.
That's profound. Life experience changing how you relate to your own creation.
Exactly. She described art making as this beautiful, often cathartic process. It helps you process life. And the work becomes this thing that's both deeply part of you, but also exists out in the world separate from you. It's this ongoing dialogue, championing gender equality in theater.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it's clear your passions, both Kennedy's and Kay's, go beyond just the story itself.
Yeah.
You're both advocates for gender equality in theater, which is still such an important conversation. How does that advocacy show up in your work, in the stories you tell, and maybe how you build your teams?
Yeah, this is clearly something they care deeply about, stemming from direct experience with the industry's imbalances. Kennedy talked about the significant gender disparity, especially for female actors outside the big professional hubs.
Like the example from Texas.
Exactly. Seeing maybe 50 talented women audition for just 2 roles while 10 men might be auditioning for 10 roles, that stark difference in opportunity really fueled their desire to create change. They didn't just see it, they wanted to actively do something about it.
And that frustration directly inspired another project, right? The Scarlet Letter musical. How does adapting that classic speak to gender equality, especially given the original novel's context?
Right. The Scarlet Letter musical was a direct response, a way to create more roles and center female stories. And what's cool is, while the original Hawthorne novel might seem patriarchal on the surface, they found these proto-feminist glimmers within it.
Early sparks of feminist ideas.
Yeah, moments of female resilience or critique, and they've deliberately amplified those. For instance, their musical isn't narrated by some random guy. It's narrated by grown Pearl, Hester's daughter.
Oh, that immediately shifts the perspective.
Totally. It gives a woman agency over telling the story. They also beefed up the role of Mistress Hibbins, the quote-unquote witch, giving her more depth. And they focus on the redemptive journeys of the other townswomen, making them more than just background figures.
So it's about elevating the female voices already present in the story.
Exactly. While still humanizing the male characters, the clear focus is on coloring the story with female perspectives, putting their experiences front and center. It's a really thoughtful reinterpretation.
That's fantastic. And beyond the stories themselves, how do you champion women behind the scenes in putting together the team for Beyond Perfection, for example?
They're very intentional about it. Kennedy is actually the Texas moderator for Maestro.
Maestro, what's that?
It's a great organization promoting women in musical theater music. So composers, orchestrators, music directors, band members, roles often heavily dominated by men.
Okay, cool.
So through Maestro, they intentionally hired an all-female band for the Scarlet Letter concert, and they've done the same for Beyond Perfection, actively creating those opportunities.
That's huge.
And the whole production team for Beyond Perfection is mostly women. The music director, the director, Dreas Legel, the choreographer, Victoria Casillo.
Wow.
And here's a really telling detail. Their music director for this show, she had never worked with a female director before this.
Get out. Never.
Never. That just shows how needed these initiatives are.
Yeah.
It underscores the impact of consciously flipping the script and putting women in leadership roles. They also mention using resources like the RISE directory, which helps find underrepresented people for all kinds of production jobs. It's a really comprehensive approach.
That's truly inspiring work. Okay, so after all this effort, all these years, what are you most excited for audiences to actually feel or experience when they see Beyond Perfection? What do you hope resonates?
Kennedy got really excited talking about just feeling the audience's energy in the room. You know, those collective gasps, the audible omens, the shared laughter, that live, unfiltered reaction.
Yeah, nothing beats live theater for that.
Nothing. And she's excited for people to experience an original story without spoilers, especially the last 20 minutes, which she described as really special. Sounds like the ending is going to be memorable.
Ooh, intriguing.
And a big part of the excitement seems to be how the show plays with expectations. It apparently takes classic character archetypes, the hero, the ingenue, the villain, the sidekick, even the writer insert character, and flips them. Their journeys end very differently than you would think.
Oh, cool. So it subverts the usual tropes.
Sounds like it. Which will be a real treat for people who know their theater, offering something fresh and unexpected within those familiar structures.
Definitely sounds like fun for theater buffs.
Yeah.
And what about the look and feel? What kind of world are they creating visually?
The production sounds ambitious. The director, Grace Legal, really gets the material, apparently. And the set is described as legit, not a bare stage. It's got LED lights, suggesting it'll really capture that futuristic, techie vibe.
So visually immersive.
Yeah, all out, they said. And the aesthetic sounds fascinating, sliding between cyberpunk and steampunk.
Cyberpunk and steampunk. How does that work?
Well, the perfection world, the AI world, leans cyberpunk, sleek, digital, maybe a bit cold. But the Rebellion in Central Park has more steampunk elements, maybe more analog, inventive, using found objects. It creates this great visual contrast that reinforces the core conflict.
That sounds visually stunning.
And she's also super excited for that breaking up with Broadway dance break we talked about. Remember the references?
Oh, yeah, the 43 references.
43, 25 in the dance, 18 in the dialogue lyrics. She even joked about needing bingo cards for the audience. It sounds like a total blast.
I would play that bingo. Okay, so Beyond Perfection is clearly huge, but knowing creatives, there's always more brewing. What else are you two working on, together or separately? It sounds like you don't stop.
No, their plates are definitely full. So the Scarlet Letter musical is still ongoing, looking for more development. Kennedy's starting a new project about the journey to motherhood, collecting diverse stories, very different.
Wow, yeah.
Then there's The Bad Girls of the Bible with Nicolette Blount, who focuses on Native artists. That sounds intriguing.
It does.
They're also planning an audio version, like an EP or audio drama of The Birth Arc, that 10-minute sci-fi horror piece.
Oh, cool. Bringing that to more people.
Yeah. And together, they're planning a new comedy musical, maybe set in a Y2K mall.
Y2K mall musical. Hilarious.
Great. Sounds like pure fun, maybe a palate cleanser. And Cray has her own solo projects, too. That lyrical play adapting Bambi, but focusing on the trauma and gun violence aspect.
Oh, a darker Bambi.
Yeah. And a historical play based on real research about a home for unwed mothers in Depression-era Texas.
That sounds incredibly powerful. They really cover a huge range.
Absolutely. From historical drama to Y2K comedy to sci-fi horror.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, last question, really. For anyone listening who's dreaming of writing their own musical, maybe feeling inspired, but also totally overwhelmed by everything you've described.
Right.
What's the key piece of advice? What should they hold on to?
Great question. Kennedy offered some really solid advice. First, protect your work early on. Your baby precious, she called it.
Be careful who sees it first.
Yeah. Find friends of your work, people who get your style, your genre, who will offer constructive support, not just tear it down or give feedback that doesn't align with your vision.
Good point. Filter the feedback.
And related to that, if the person giving feedback isn't even in your target audience, maybe take their criticism with a grain of salt. Is it relevant to your goals?
Right. Know who you're writing for.
And crucially, you have to be your own biggest fan. You're the one who has to make it happen. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the right time. And fight that imposter syndrome. Just keep knocking on doors. Keep trying. Totally. And remember, art is subjective. Not everyone will love it. Hold on to your why. Why are you telling the story? Let that be your anchor.
Believe in yourself and your story. That's fantastic advice. So if people want to follow Beyond Perfection and all these other amazing projects, where should they look?
Okay, so for Beyond Perfection, the main hub is the website, kennedyshanproductions.com/Beyond Perfection.
Got it.
They're also on social media. TikTok is at Beyond Perfection Musical, and Instagram is at Beyond Perfection Musical.
Perfect.
For Kennedy's individual stuff, her Instagram is Kennedy Shan Productions. And for Pay, the secret way is TikTok at Drashtag.
Dr. Hashtag. Love it.
Or her Instagram is Kaylee Killingsworth. Definitely follow them to keep up. #tag check outro.
Well, that brings us to the end of this fantastic look into Beyond Perfection. Huge thanks for sharing all those insights. We hope you, listening, feel like you've gotten a real sense of the passion, the hard work, the creativity that goes into making new theater. You're definitely now well-informed about a show that sounds incredibly timely and special.
Absolutely. And maybe as you go about your day, reflect on that relationship between us, our art, and our technology. Beyond Perfection uses this imagined AI utopia to really question our own reality, doesn't it? It might inspire you to think about your own definition of perfection and how you navigate those lines between the real and the virtual in your own life. The creative spirit, like we heard today, just keeps pushing us to see the world differently.
So true. A great thought to end on. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and maybe look for those moments that take you beyond perfection. Farewell.
Hi, this is Bill Farmer, the voice of Goofy and other characters. You got to watch the Part of Your Broadway World podcast right here. It's going to be fun.